This is a brief tutorial of the setup process for Integer Technologies Real-Time Shipping Quotes app for BigCommerce. The tutorial will include a demonstration of shipping quotes being presented during the BigCommerce checkout process. This video will touch on the most basic steps required to have shipping quotes presented during checkout. It is not a substitute for the user's guide, which is located on the Documentation tab of the Product Information page on Integer.com. Begin by installing the app on your store. Click on Apps in the BigCommerce admin menu, and then click the blue button for the BigCommerce App Store. Search for Real-Time Shipping Quotes. Click on its tile, and then click the Get This App button. Use the BigCommerce admin menu to navigate to Settings and Shipping. Make sure the toggle for Choose which shipping options will be powering checkout is set to default. To enable the app, click the Edit button for the desired shipping zone. Scroll down to the Real-Time Shipping Quotes section and enable the Real-Time Shipping Quotes by Integer Technology app. Next, choose a subscription plan. Use the BigCommerce admin menu to navigate to Apps and Real-Time Shipping Quotes. Then choose Plans from the Apps menu. Choose the plan that best suits your needs and complete the payment method step. Enable the shipping providers you want to use by clicking on Dashboard in the app's navigation menu. I will enable ABF Freight for no other reason than it appears first in the list of available providers. The Enable button will be replaced with buttons for Settings and Disable. Click on the Settings button to access the settings for the enabled provider. You can also access the provider's settings by clicking on its name in the navigation menu. Specific instructions for each provider are in the user's guide. Click the Test Connection button after entering your API credentials to confirm that the API credentials are correct and the connection is successful. Click the Save button before continuing. Next, access the Quote Settings page. The Quote Settings page governs how the provider's integration will behave. There are numerous settings on this page. Spend some time on it with the user's guide in hand so that the app performs according to your preferences. To keep it simple, I'll enable some basic settings for this LTL freight provider. First, to help distinguish the provider's integration, I'll give it a unique label. Next, I'll scroll down to the liftgate settings and enable the option for Offer liftgate delivery as an option. I'll also enter a weight threshold for LTL freight of 70 pounds. It will become evident why I've done this later in the video. Each provider's integration has its own connection settings and quote settings pages. Repeat these steps for each enabled provider. Specific instructions for each shipping provider are in the user's guide. The quote settings page for each LTL freight provider will be very similar. The quote settings page for the parcel providers will differ from those of LTL freight providers, but will be similar to each other. Third-party logistics providers that offer LTL freight will have an additional carriers page. The carriers page is used to identify which LTL freight providers in its portfolio should be processed by the app. Now identify your shipping origins. Click on Warehouses in the app's navigation menu. The app supports two types of shipping origins, warehouses and dropship locations. For this tutorial, I'll add a warehouse. Enter a nickname for the warehouse and provide a postal code. The city and state should auto-populate. Scroll to the bottom of the page and click Save. Next, using the app's navigation settings, select Address Type Settings. I'll enable the option to automatically detect residential addresses and default unconfirmed addresses to residential. Now it's time to populate the product shipping parameters. Select Product Settings from the app's navigation menu. Choose an item from the catalog that will require LTL freight. Enable the checkbox for a quote as an LTL shipment. Enter a weight and a freight class, and click Save at the bottom of the page. Using the front end of the store, add a product to the cart and enter the checkout process. After entering a valid ship-to address, the rates from the LTL shipping provider will be displayed. You can see options for standard LTL freight and LTL freight with liftgate delivery, which I enabled on the quote settings page. Now let's perform a test checkout with parcel rates. I connected the UPS integration to my UPS account using the instructions in the user's guide. On the quote settings page for the UPS integration, I'll enable a few of the UPS services. Now, using the product settings entry in the app's navigation menu, I'll access the product shipping parameters for an item suitable for shipping through the parcel network. After enabling the checkbox for a quote as a parcel shipment, I'll return to the checkout page with only that item in the cart. Quotes for UPS services enabled in the app appear on the checkout page. Next, I'm going to increase the quantity of the item so that the total weight of the cart exceeds the weight threshold for LTL freight previously entered on the quote settings page for the LTL freight provider. In this example, rates for parcel and LTL freight services are both presented to the visitor. Finally, let's examine how the presentation of rates can vary when a third-party logistics provider is the enabled integration. If you enable an integration for a 3PL, you'll get an additional page for carriers. You'll also have a few additional settings available on the quote settings page. To demonstrate how this can change the results on the checkout page, I'll enable the 3PL integration to display the 3 cheapest options, while retaining the option to offer liftgate delivery. Now you'll see the 3 cheapest options for LTL freight and LTL freight with liftgate delivery. When entering the checkout page with items defaulted to quote as a parcel shipment, if the total weight exceeds the weight threshold for LTL freight, parcel and LTL freights are presented just as they are for the integration of the asset-based provider. This concludes the setup tutorial and demonstration of the DIY real-time shipping quotes app for BigCommerce.